and welcome back to Life 100 Podcast. I am Rosie, and it's so good to be with you today. And this special episode about all things travel with our guest, Jihane, a world traveler who has explored the globe in some truly unique ways, to places like Jamaica, Dubai, Mexico, London, Hawaii, Japan, Verma, Vietnam, Egypt, and the list goes on and on. Her socials, it will take you all over the world. And she is here sharing innovative travel options. So whether you are a first-time or experienced traveler, or just dreaming of your next adventure, you do not want to miss this insightful and inspiring conversation. So Jihane, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so excited to connect with your community and just talk all things travel and life.
All things travel and life. That is exactly right. I was excited to find you on your social media because everything that you share, it has so much information, so much value. It makes me want to just go and get on some type of trip right away. So tell me, what is your life journey?
I had a quintessential childhood. I had two loving parents. My parents are from Haiti. And so I think because they are not from the States, going back home to them was very important. So at a young age, we started traveling, and it wasn't anything expensive. It was going to Haiti for the summers and Christmases, going to Montreal to visit family, going to the Bahamas for just family vacations. And in doing that, I didn't realize that it was building the stepping stones for me to love travel. I loved getting on the airplanes. I loved the airplane food. I loved going to the airport. I loved packing. I loved learning about the cultures in those different places. I loved finding new kid friends from those countries to understand how they live their lives different from mine. With that, planted the seed. And I didn't realize that I loved travel. It was just something that I did. And then when I was 19, I did a study abroad program called Semester at Sea. And it completely changed my life. I lived on a ship for 100 days while I was in college. During those 100 days, we circumnavigated the globe, and in the process went to about 10 or 11 different countries, including places that I never thought I'd have the privilege of going to, like Japan and Burma and Vietnam and Egypt and all these cool places. Once I did that, I just realized how small the world actually is. If I wanted to travel, I can just go. It's not this big ordeal that we all tend to place on it. You can just go. I mean, of course, you have to budget and plan and see what is best for you, but if it's a priority for you, you can definitely do it. And that's pretty much how I live my life now. I'm doing this podcast right now. Yesterday, me and my boyfriend decided to just take a random road trip, and we were at Six Flags. We were riding a roller coaster about 20 minutes before I came on this podcast. And you can still do your job and your life. We're so connected now.
The beauty of travel and the flexibility that it is, especially now with all this technology that we can talk. I mean, you were on a roller coaster a few minutes ago, and now you're talking to me. And then after this, I'm sure you're going to head to another adventure. So it's an ongoing. And the beautiful thing that you said that I also share is that once you start traveling, either local or to another country, international, it gets so much easier because you have that experience and you build upon that. And then that experience of talking to people and the natives and getting to know. Tell me one of those experiences that has been one of the most special ones as far as connecting with the country and talking to the native, to the people who live there. What is one of those experiences that it will live with you forever?
I've been very fortunate enough to have a lot of those experiences. The one that was the most recent and actually meant the most to me was in 2019. I was traveling to Italy by myself and fell in love with that country. Was one of the most beautiful places I encountered, but the biggest thing was I was traveling by myself. I was traveling solo, which is something I love to do a lot. And in one of the days, I decided to go to the Tuscan countryside, and I rented this beautiful villa hotel. And long story short, I hurt my knee by walking or something. I fell or something, my knee hurt, but my phone broke. And when you're traveling solo or you're just traveling, you need a phone. Your phone is your map. Your phone is your lifeline. Your phone translates languages for you. And my phone takes pictures and videos for me. I was just so distraught. And I was like, I can't believe my knee hurts and I broke my phone. But at that point, like, I wasn't upset. I was just like, what is the next step? What happened was the owner of the hotel I was staying in, Frederic, when I told him all these things that happened, he was like, I have an extra phone. Here you go. You can use it to take pictures. There is one phone fixed place in town because it was a very remote Tuscan village. There's one in town. He had just quit nursing school 6 months before and started his cell phone fixing business. And Frederic took me around for a whole day, drove me around in his car, had a lunch for me with his friends, Tuscan like food. They cooked for me, had a dinner in my honor. And was like, we don't want you to think badly about our country. We're sorry this happened to you. And while all that was happening, I still had a phone because let me borrow his. I had wonderful, delicious food that they cooked just for me. That young man who quit his nursing school job because he loved electronics came and put the one cell phone fix shop in town. And it just turned into a beautiful thing of this community that adopted me because they didn't want me to think bad about their country and fed me and hosted me. And it was just the best. Like, I was just like, I love traveling to meet people in different cultures.
Absolutely. That is an experience that I can imagine is so special because it cannot touch you on a personal level during the time of so much going on and the experience you have. And that's the beauty about things. Solo travel, I have done that a couple of times and it's amazing because then we can see all the things that we can be exposed and how we react on our own because there you are, no phone and you were hurt physically and all these things happen and yet you have an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And one of the posts that I like that I think not too many people know is about the availability that we have for travel in different areas. And one of the posts that you have is a semi-private place that you had the opportunity to experience. Can you tell me how you found out about it and how feasible it is for everybody else?
Absolutely. That is such a funny story. I did not expect that to get so much traction. I thought it would be interesting. I thought it would do well on TikTok, but it is now at 10 million views. And basically what it is, it's JSX Airlines, JSX, and they're a semi-private airline. And they offer you a different flying experience. I'd heard about it and I wanted to experience it. So I had to fly it from Dallas to LA because there are limited flyings for it. And I got on there, and the beauty of it is you don't have to go to a traditional airport. You go to an airport, but you don't deal with TSA, which I know just turns a lot of people off because of all of the routines and things and security. You go there, they do a security metal detectors and all that. But you go to the airport 20 minutes before your flight. You go through the little medical security. You sit in the lobby. You get snacks and wine, drinks and everything. And you just get on the semi-private airline with no more than 20 other people. And it is affordable. And if you have anxiety with planes, it's a really great option for you because something to ease you into flying. And I just could not speak more highly of it. I think if it's somewhere where you need to go really fast and they don't have the times that you need, you can look at JSX. And it was just a really cool experience. I mean, I got a lot of backlash on that video as well as positive attributions. People saying that it's not private and so on and so forth. But someone messaged me and they're like, thank you so much for sharing this airline with me. My mother passed away and I need my emotional support dog and I wasn't able to pay for it because it was $250 extra. But if you have a pet, let the dog go on there for free. And she was like, thank you so much. I was able to start planning my mother's funeral. I didn't know this existed. And I was like, wow, even that, like the power of that.
Absolutely. Plus, you posted that, I think it was on December 29, and then you did a follow-up video. And the reason why it was so special to me is because sometimes I travel with someone who has high anxiety, and I know this will make her life so much easier. And then I went to the website to check them out, and it's so easy, very user-friendly, and it has different options. So I thank you, first of all, for taking the time to document it. Because that video was amazing. And not only that, but it has the visuals. Because one thing is to talk about it, another thing is to see it. And the way you did it, for me, it was art. It's like, oh, thank you. Oh, I need to get in touch with her because this is amazing. This is why we're talking today because of that video. That was the first video. And then I was hooked. I was hooked because you take the time to talk about your experience in different airlines. And it's like your own research at your fingertips. And but I love what you do. I just love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Sometimes I'll do them. I'm just like, do people even care? But people have so many questions. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not being redundant. People actually find this helpful. They find value in this. So for every person in the world, there is an airline for them. Whatever you need, there is something for you, is what I'm finding out. So if you look at Spirit is very affordable. So if you need to go somewhere last minute, the prices are good for you in that bracket of life. And if you want to get free check bags, people will fly Southwest Airlines because you get 2 free check bags. If you want a traditional airline experience with the lounge, people will fly Delta. And you have United, which if you're in the Midwest, you're going to be your airline of choice. JetBlue, if you're in New York City or Fort Lauderdale or somewhere in LA. It's just interesting why people choose airlines and why people don't like airlines, which I just find very interesting as I do these TikTok.
There is an airline for every different situation. And one thing that is easier for us is because we start traveling when we were young. But for the person who has never, ever traveled, and let's say that this is the first time, and they are nervous because it could be nerve-wracking if you never had that experience, especially if you go international, but even domestic. What type of tips can you give them to do ahead of time to ease that transition? And when they arrive, that they are able to enjoy the stay? What do you suggest to them?
Really great question. So first of all, if you are flying domestically, and this is for domestic, I highly recommend that you start the application and get TSA Pre Check. Having TSA Pre Check alleviates so much time, so much anxiety. You are deemed essentially safe from the U.S. government, so you have a lot less screening in the airport as opposed to if you don't have TSA Pre Check. If you don't have TSA Pre Check, you have to stand in a long line. You have to take off your shoes, take off your jacket, put everything through the metal detector, deal with people barking orders at you. TSA Pre Check, you go through TSA security in no more than 2 minutes. A lot more people have it now, so maybe 5 minutes at the most. But you keep your shoes on, you keep your belt on, you keep your jacket on. You essentially just walk through security because you've been deemed like not to be a threat. And if you have anxiety about traveling, put that number 1 on your to-do list to get. If you can't get TSA Pre Check, then invest in Clear. Clear is another system where you have to go through security, the extensive screening, but you can skip the line. You will not have to wait in that half hour, an hour line of security. They put you right at the front, and it costs about $180 a year. So if you travel a lot domestically, it would be a great investment for you. If you only travel 1 or 2 times, I wouldn't recommend it, but it is a really great program. Also, if you don't have those and you get anxiety, best advice is give yourself time. Do not be rushing to the airport because rushing already increases anxiety. You're worried the whole time. So if you know that is something that you don't want to deal with, your flight leaves at 11, get to the airport by 8:30. So you have time to check in, go see your gate, get something to eat, make sure everything is charged up, and you have no anxiety. And then when you're traveling, pick somewhere that you're excited to go to. Oftentimes, you don't have that luxury, like you have to just go somewhere because you have to go to a family event or something like that. But even if it's that, wherever I go, whether it's just for a day or a week, I will always look up something interesting to do in that space to make me excited to go. So even if it's just a work trip for 24 hours, I'm going to look for a great restaurant. I'm going to look for a great museum. I'm going to look for something great culturally in that city. So I'm excited to go. And I'd also say make sure you understand packing. Packing is another thing that brings anxiety and you're not sure. Are you going to check a bag or are you going to just carry on a bag? And if you carry on a bag, make sure your bag is the right size because people are just like, well, I'm going to try and sneak this on. Airplanes don't really play that game anymore. You're not able to really sneak things on. So make sure you're abiding by the rules and that will just make sure everything goes as smoothly as possible. The last thing I'd say, just make sure you have a fully charged cell phone. Make sure your technology is available because if you're going to a new place or it's not the place that you live, you're going to need to use your cell phone. So make sure you have portable battery packs. Make sure you have your charging units and everything is saved. If your hotel name is saved in your phone, restaurants you want to go to is saved. Just important information. Long story short, just be prepared. If you know traveling is something that brings you anxiety or you're nervous or it's your first time, be as prepared as possible.
And the more you know, the easier it is. And that's why I encourage everybody to go to her page, visit her page, because a lot of information is right there. Things that sometimes people don't even think about. Something that really can make an experience even more enjoyable because you know exactly what to expect. And talking about what is next for you? Tell me about your projects, where you plan to travel next. Tell me all about what is in the future.
In terms of travel, I have small ones coming up. I'll be going to Lake Tahoe in Hawaii before April. And then April is the big month in my life for me because I am heading to Spain and I am shooting a television show, a pilot for a show that my friends and I are producing. It's an anthropological travel show. And so we're going to Spain for our first country. We'll be speaking to really wonderful, extraordinary women that live amongst you in your everyday lives. And we're very excited for it. And come April after that, I don't know where I'll be going, but I assume and know and feel that I'll be going to a lot more countries because we'll be visiting a lot more countries to tell these stories. So very excited.
It's such a wonderful, what an experience. I can't wait to hear about all those stories about women and their experiences and traveling. Travel for me, it's a gift that we give to ourselves. And one more thing before we conclude is the best way to get in touch with you.
Yes, I would love to hear from you guys who are listening. I know that you've built up such an incredible community. I'd love to connect with everybody. So you can find me mostly on my TikTok page. My username is at Jolly Jihane, Jolly JOLLY _ JIHANE at Jolly Jihane. I'm pretty much there on all of the socials. My email is jollyjihane@gmail.com. Find me there and we can definitely connect. Looking forward to talking to everybody. And I just love the work that you do. I love the community that you've built. And I'm just so honored that you invited me onto this podcast today.
Oh, the honor is mine. Thank you so much for taking time from your schedule. And let's go and ride that roller coaster again. Go for it, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much.
What a great conversation. And thank you for sharing this message, for being part of this journey. And I invite you to visit her social media that is full of insight and inspiration. And once again, thank you for listening and leave a comment and subscribe. Follow us because like I always say, life is better when you live it at 100.